Hey, what's up, Plus Ultra fam? It's me, Plus Ultraman, and today we're for a very special what if that was actually suggested by one of the oldest members of the Plus Ultra fam, Prince Barry. Now, Barry had a very interesting timeline to suggest that I myself wanted to explore and had actually suggested to a few of the what ifers here on YouTube. But Barry asked me, so we'll be covering it here. This will happen in one go, making this a what if one shot, and this is a 7-page script, so we gotta move quick. So you've read the thumbnail and you know what we're talking about. A similar timeline to this has been explored before, where Trunks actually went to the Saiyan saga in a manga called Wrong Time by Selfie SK, which is amazing. And Broku72 covered that timeline further because the manga has actually been cancelled. But Barry and I had a different idea for a timeline, where Trunks went back even further, a Dragon Ball wronger time if you will. So what if Trunks went back that far, and how do we make that happen? Well, in Wrong Time, Bulma is reminiscing about Vegeta when he first arrived on Earth, and absentmindedly set the wrong date for the time machine. This makes sense with constant attacks and stress due to having to flee from the androids and make the time machine at the same time. I feel like Bulma would be very stressed out, tired, and easily distracted. So in this timeline, Bulma's just a bit more tired. And another change we're going to make is Trunks' admiration towards Goku is a lot deeper in this timeline. Trunks had a lot of respect for the older Saiyan, but most of that respect was reserved for the future Gohan he lost. So in this timeline, let's make it so that Gohan constantly talks about his father and how big of a hero he was, and how his memory along with Piccolo was what pushed him to get stronger. I think that would leave a really big impact on Trunks. We then see Trunks saying goodbye to a very tired Bulma as he climbs in the time machine. Once he blasts off, Bulma looks down to see that she's typed in the wrong coordinates into the navigation system, showing that she's actually sent him a little while after Grandpa Gohan's death and a while before she arrives to meet Kid Goku. Now when Trunks arrives in the past, he realizes that he's missed his mark by about 30 years, and he comes up with a new plan. Remember, this is when we thought that actions in the past would change the future, but we didn't know that Toriyama was working off multiverse theory. Calming down from his panic, Trunks realizes that he can still make this work. It wasn't the original plan, but he is still able to power up Goku and somehow get him the heart medicine that his mother made. He could still come out on top. So, knowing where Mount Paozu was because of talks with his mom and Gohan, Trunks zooms in that direction to find Goku. Once there and finding Goku, Trunks could just tell him that his name was T or something and that he really just wanted to stay and train to make Goku stronger. All he really has to do is be nice, and I feel like Trunks could really pull that off. Not to mention, Goku has nothing to do. He can only go hunting and training his martial arts so many times before that gets pretty boring to him, so I'm sure he'd be very excited to train with somebody else, especially after losing Grandpa Gohan. Goku would be even more excited when he saw how strong Trunks actually was. Trunks does put on a show, but he keeps his power level low enough to where it wouldn't alert everybody on Earth. Trunks also has the idea of taking the heart medicine to his grandfather at Capsule Corp, where he could then reverse engineer it and mass produce it. This would eliminate the chance that Goku would die from the heart virus. Now, Trunks' new goal, like Gohan's before his, is to get Goku to become a Super Saiyan. If that happens, then Goku would have a major head start, and it would cause a domino effect that could also make the other Z fighters stronger. This also means that Trunks has to explain to Goku that he's a Saiyan and what his tail really means for him, right after yanking it out. Yeah, Goku loses his tail. He'd be way too dangerous if he was stronger than he was in the original series and also had his grade 8 form on top of it. Having this all thought through, Trunks gets very happy at the idea that the androids, when they did come, wouldn't stand a chance. And with all the bases covered and no idea that his timeline would remain unchanged, Trunks decided that he could spend the next year putting his plan to action, and that this plan was completely fine. Now, training with a Super Saiyan level fighter would definitely make Goku leagues beyond his original timeline counterpart, but the entire time isn't spent towards Goku's strength. Trunks first has to teach Goku how to sense and weaponize his ki, which took some time in the original timeline, and would still take some time here. Remember, Goku is still the same, other than some more social interaction. And so, time passes on, and Trunks' plan does work in some regards. Goku is much stronger than he reasonably should be. I wager that he could be in the 50,000s in power level right now. Remember, Goku has a very strong training partner in Trunks. He also has normal times Earth gravity, and would have gotten Zenkai boost slower because he can't just use a Zensu beam. He also had to take time out to learn ki control, which is still lacking very much, mind you. A bit sad that his plan didn't come to full fruition, and knowing that his mother would soon show up, Trunks decides to go in and say his goodbyes to his hero, and tells him to continue training as hard as he could until he caught the Trunks and became a Super Saiyan, and then go even further beyond. Trunks then goes off to Capsule Corp and gives his grandfather the heart medicine, telling him a disease would rear his head very soon and they'd make a lot of money by being the first to have a mass-produced cure. I feel like that's all Dr. Breeze would really need to be convinced to go in and mass produce the cure.
Back in the present, Goku still meets up with Bulma, and the adventure goes almost the exact same, except Goku can pretty much steamroll literally anyone who stands against him. I'd place him about the 25,000 range in power level right now, and he also doesn't have his tail. Either way, nobody can stand against him right now. So, getting the Dragon Balls is very easy. Goku is even able to put the fire out on the mountain by himself, but would still end up blowing it the hell up, just like Master Roshi did. Seeing this, I feel like Ox King would probably tell Goku that he knew his grandpa and that they trained with Master Roshi, and would probably suggest that Goku should go and try and train with Master Roshi so he could learn to maybe control that great power he had. The rest of the Dragon Ball saga would be pretty easy. They'd get the Dragon Balls and really have no real competition with the Pilaf gang, and Oolong would probably still steal the wish for a pair of panties. After that, Goku decides to follow up on the suggestion that Ox King had and flies off towards Kame House to see Master Roshi. He probably doesn't need the Nimbus in this timeline, as I'm sure Trunks would have time to fly. Once there, and after amazing Master Roshi and Krillin with the power he had, Goku and Krillin are accepted by Master Roshi and start to train with him. But Goku doesn't really have to train for the tournament the way Krillin would have to. He doesn't have to refine his strength and push past the limits of human beings. He's already well beyond that. He trains with Master Roshi on controlling his power and improving his technique. Seeing how strong Goku is pushes Krillin to get even stronger and stronger himself though. But when it came time for the tournament, they would still pretty much run through the competition. But I feel like Master Roshi disguised as Jackie Chun could still come out on top. If Master Roshi can dodge Jiren, he can dodge Goku and force him to follow the ring. Then, moving on to the Red Ribbon Army arc, that would be a pretty easy W for Goku. Mercenary Tower not, meaning no training from Korn. King Piccolo is also defeated really easily, and since Goku would have killed him in the original timeline, I'm going to say that he is almost killed here too, only to be saved by a surprise appearance by Kami, who seems to have had a plan this entire time. Kami then convinces Goku not to kill Piccolo, and seals his battered other half with the evil containment wave. And after that, there are no threats for Goku to have to contend with, and he can continue to train and try and reach Super Saiyan state, probably going to Korn first, per Kami's orders, and then to the lookout with Kami and Popo. There, Kami can again help refine his technique more, and he would probably participate in the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament still. Skip 5 years into the Dragon Ball Z timeline, and I think Goku would have still married Chi-Chi, and nothing really would have changed, only that Goku might be a little bit more mature, which Chi-Chi might really like, because I feel like Trunks would have wanted Goku to grow up a lot faster, so he'd be more serious. Another exciting aspect is that when Gohan is born, he'd be much, much stronger, because remember that Goten and Trunks are stronger when they're born because of the SL thing. This means Gohan's potential would be exponentially more than what it was in the original timeline. Now when Raditz arrives on Earth, he finds no Piccolo Jr. This is because Goku beat Piccolo Daimao in their first fight, and then Kami sealed him, which means Piccolo Jr. was not allowed to be born. Raditz would immediately head over to Kami House, sensing the highest power levels in that direction, and once meeting with Goku, and realizing that he had a higher power level than Vegeta, Raditz would have been floored. Hearing this through the scouter intrigues Vegeta, and he and Nappa blast off to Earth. Raditz realizes that his brother is much stronger than Vegeta, and therefore switches his loyalty over to his younger brother. Goku is more than happy to accept his brother. He already knows what Saiyans are and would have probably came to terms with the fact that they were pretty violent people. He's also really happy to have somebody who can pick their brain off of and learn more about Saiyan culture. Trunks wasn't there to understand what real Saiyans were like, but Raditz was, and Goku can pick his brain and hear about these things. He also gets a new training partner, which again is just icing on the cake for him. After a year of travel, Nappa and Vegeta would be very shocked to see how strong the people of Earth were. Remember, Goku's strength has caused a domino effect. This means that a Cyberman is nowhere near the level of Krillin. And Raditz and Goku have been sparring partners for this entire year, so I feel like Raditz would be easily above Nappa right now, and Goku easily above Vegeta, probably in the 30,000s or so. Nappa and Vegeta's only real hope would be the Great Ape form, and remember, Goku would know about it this timeline, and would not allow it. This means that he's able to beat Nappa and Vegeta without the Kaioken, which is amazing. Beaten down and his pride hurt, Vegeta has a realization that through Goku, he could grow strong enough to defeat Frieza and become the first Super Saiyan. Then he'd come back and take down Goku. Goku doesn't find Vegeta threatening in the least bit, and would welcome a new training partner. So Goku, now with 3 Saiyan training partners, continues to train hard to attain the Super Saiyan state. Vegeta, however, is the only one with a real desire to defeat Frieza. During this, I think Goku would have had the idea to still have Bulma build him a gravity chamber, which the Saiyans would take advantage of. And meeting up, Bulma and Vegeta would still likely be attracted to each other, and I could see Trunks being born early in this timeline. And because I just like the pairing, I think that Raditz and Launch still shack up and have a kid around the same time. So now you have the Saiyans all training and bonding together and finding attachments here on Earth that are starting to kind of change them like they do to Vegeta. Even Nappa, who I doubt would shack up with anybody, finds that the food and the people are really fun to play with and enjoy his time there. So now you have 4 Saiyans training together on Earth with the gravity chamber or even the Roman spirit in time. But it can only be used for 2 days, mind you, because remember, when Kami was in control, you could only use it twice in a lifetime. The Saiyans would have grown by leaps and bounds, probably into the high 100,000s, and maybe even the millions for Goku and Vegeta. Vegeta now realizes that he's twice as strong as Frieza, or at least in his first form, because remember, he went to Namek and heard from Zarbon that Frieza can transform. And speaking of, Frieza is not on Namek right now because there's been no mention of the Dragon Balls with the Scouters on. This means that Frieza is just relaxing somewhere, lounging about and conquering planets, but I think Vegeta would know a way to draw him out. He then brings Nappa with him as they plan to set out and go take on the Emperor. Goku and Raditz decide to stay on Earth and train though. Goku would like the challenge, but reaching Super Saiyan is much more important to him, and Frieza is not truly a threat to him at the moment. Raditz, on the other hand, just wants to stay alive, so he'd rather stay on Earth. This works though. Vegeta leaves and tells Goku that as soon as he becomes the first Super Saiyan, he'll be back to kill him. Goku only smiles and waves him goodbye, knowing that Vegeta has changed a lot and bonded with everyone too much to truly come back and kill them. This is not the same Vegeta and Nappa. Nappa and Vegeta then climb into their old space pods and fly off towards the nearest Frieza-controlled planet and start wreaking havoc. The plan is cause enough trouble for the Emperor to where he has to show up and control them himself. Vegeta is however horrified when Frieza does show up and assumes his second form, matching Vegeta in his power. This means it isn't super hard for Frieza to take them down, as he can just take his third form. Before Vegeta is completely obliterated, he warns Frieza of another Saiyan on the planet Earth who truly had become a Super Saiyan, and that he would avenge the Saiyans, right before he and Nappa are snuffed out. Frieza, while celebrating his victory, laments that the planet Earth has to be destroyed. If there are more Saiyans there, he cannot allow them to keep living if they're going to be such a nuisance. So he sets course towards the planet, and Goku with Raditz will be training the entire time. After a few months, Frieza arrives to destroy the planet, and Goku would have felt him long ago because remember, Frieza does not know how to hide his ki. So Goku, a reluctant Raditz, and the rest of the Z Fighters arrive towards where he will be landing to face him. Frieza, thinking it would be more beneficial to just destroy the planet instead of landing there, forms a huge supernova attack and throws it at the Earth. Frieza is then flabbergasted when the attack is thrown back by a huge Kamehameha. So, to reassert his power, he and a large number of his forces land on the Earth, but Frieza is in for another ugly surprise. I imagine Goku at this point in time at maybe a 4 or 5 million power level base. Remember, he has not stopped training since Trunks has left, and Raditz wouldn't be too far behind with around a 1 million power level. The other Z Fighters are definitely strong enough and more skilled than the average Frieza soldier and can take them down pretty easily. Everyone's growth stuns the Emperor and pushes him all the way back into his final form before he begins to retaliate, taking almost everyone out. Frieza then reveals that he has killed Vegeta and Nappa and he will soon destroy Earth and everything that Goku has ever loved. Uh-oh, Frieza. Big mistake. Remember, this Goku isn't really used to not being strong enough. This is one of the first times in his life that he's ever been outpowered. And much more, he's not so used to death. The only one he can really remember of someone who was close to him is Krillin, and that was a very long time ago. So all this rushing in pisses him off and finally gives him that emotional trigger that he needs to reach the form he's been trying to his entire life. So with a cry of anguish, Goku screams to the sky, and with a golden glow, he becomes a Super Saiyan and is pissed. And actually, I think Goku is so mad here and strong enough that he might have accidentally pushed himself into Super Saiyan Grade 2, meaning he's far above Frieza, around maybe a 250 million in power level. Needless to say, Goku would then thrash Frieza and give him countless chances to escape the planet without being killed, before finally lamenting and destroying the Emperor for good. After the battle, the Dragon Balls are gathered, and everyone who was killed in this battle with Frieza along with Nappa and Vegeta are revived. So we can now move on to the Android Saga, and I'm sure everyone's been wondering, where is Trunks, and where are the androids? Remember how I said the Red Ribbon Army were a very easy W for Goku? Well, that's because Trunks had instilled a very strong hatred for the organization. He created a situation in which there would be no chance that any Red Ribbons could survive, and if they did, they'd be way too scared of the strong warrior to retaliate in any type of way. This means that Dr. Gero would have either been killed or too scared to ever make androids past Android 8. This also means that there are no androids and no Cell, and if we do get a Cell, he can only be in his imperfect form. As for Trunks, he does not come back to warn for the androids. There's no reason to. The Red Ribbon Army has been destroyed, and the heart medicine mass produced, meaning Goku can take it over the counter. He cannot die of the virus in this timeline. So back in his own timeline, Trunks comes to the horrible realization that nothing he did in the past has changed his own time. This means that he has to kill the androids and restore the Earth to the way it was. Thankfully, I think Bulma and a handful of people would have still survived. They were able to do so for so long, the androids had no reason to destroy the entire planet, so I imagine they would have still been fine. So, realizing the small amount of strength he gained in his year of training with Goku, he decides to go back in time and seek out the one person he thinks can help him, Master Roshi. Remember, Master Roshi was a big part in teaching Goku to be so strong, and he might hold answers that can help Trunks out. So, Trunks meets up with Master Roshi a little while before he begins to train Goku, but he realizes that there was nothing Master Roshi could really do for him. So, Master Roshi sends Trunks to Korin, and Trunks goes to Korin and convinces him to give him the sacred water. This would only give Trunks a 1.3 times boost, I believe. But again, he would know this was not enough for him to take down the androids. So, Korin would instruct him to fly up and beg Kami to train him. So Trunks flies up to the lookout and reveals his situation to Kami, shocking him and Mr. Popo with the fact that he's from the future and his true power. Kami would realize the gravity of this situation and would realize that his role as Earth's guardian should apply to Earths that are even in different timelines. So Kami takes Trunks into the time chamber for one of his 2 days, and there they both get a bit stronger. After this, Trunks uses his last day and emerges strong enough to take down the androids. Kami then realized that with his new power, he needs to seal away his evil halves so they can still have control of the Dragon Balls. And then he needs to train Goku, so in case these androids came onto their timeline, they would still have a defense against them. And this is how Kami's plan to seal King Piccolo formed. Trunks then returns to his own timeline and defeats the androids to begin rebuilding his home. Again, we're doing this all in one shot, so we have to speed up a bit here. The next 7 years pass without incident. Goku, Raditz, and Nappa train when Chi-Chi isn't working them, and Vegeta trains constantly. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering what Gohan's been doing this timeline, but he hasn't been doing anything. He lives a completely peaceful life, as I feel he would want to in a situation where he didn't have to fight. He might have tried training once or twice, but realized it really wasn't for him. Fighting is not in his blood like it's in his father's. Goku is fine with that, and Chi-Chi is extra fine with that. But when they have their second son, Goten, he is extremely strong. Remember, S-cells. In this timeline, Goku has way more than he did in the original. So, Goten would be able to go Super Saiyan easily. Goku's also alive, so I feel like Chi-Chi wouldn't be modeling the boy after his father. He'd have his own personality and wouldn't just be Trunks' lackey. Kid Trunks and Raditz's child, who we will call Ranch in this because I do love Moscow X, are older than Goten, and like their dads, like to fight and get stronger. So he still follows their lead a bit. And with Goku alive, he and Vegeta can fight all they want to, keeping Vegeta happy so there won't be a Majin Vegeta in this situation. And speaking of the Majins, Supreme Kai comes down and is able to give the warning about Majin Buu to Goku. Goku would take the warning a bit more serious, as he is more serious thanks to the influence of T, or Trunks, who he at some point recognized in Kid Trunks and sought answers to, leading him to Kami, who revealed the truth of Trunks. So when Babidi and Dabura come, they are destroyed instantly. Super Saiyan 2 was found long ago by Goku and Vegeta. So we also get no Majin Buu in this timeline. And afterwards, life returns to what it was before, until Beerus wakes up and goes to Earth looking for the Super Saiyan God. Like in the original timeline, Goku and everyone else takes him on, and they all get whooped, until Gohan has the idea to summon Shenron and asks him how to summon the Super Saiyan God. And remember, there are more than enough Saiyans to do the ritual, so Goku forms the Super Saiyan God and takes on Beerus, giving him a much better challenge, because remember, there's a stronger Goku in this situation. After this, Goku and the other Saiyans begin to train again with Whis, but Goku and Vegeta are the most fired up about it, and still unlock Super Saiyan Blue. Another big change is Frieza is not revived. I feel like Vegeta and Nappa during their rampage to attract the Emperor would have done a lot of damage, and after being revived, would have went and finished off the job. Even if Frieza was revived, 4 Super Saiyan Blues, or 2 in this case that are much stronger, would have been a moot point. He would have no chance. The Universe 6 tournament is very interesting though, as our team involves Nappa, Raditz, Goku, Vegeta, and Monaka, who never sees combat. Nappa takes on Botamo and Magirna and wins, but gets kicked out by Kaba, and Kaba takes on Raditz, who teaches him Super Saiyan. This causes Vegeta to be much more jovial in the match, and he takes Kaba through the Super Saiyan forms after Kaba had taken out Raditz, before showing him the God forms and winning. Then he gets defeated by a hit, who Goku gets defeated by because remember, there's no Kaioken in this timeline. I think Goku could still befriend Hit, and Hit forfeits to Monaka. The Omni King shows up, leading to the Tournament of Power still being planned. Now we'll slow down a bit for this one because the Goku Black arc is very interesting. The first major change is Trunks' timeline has been completely fixed. Kami, after hearing his story, decided he should help Trunks, and goes into the hyperbolic time chamber after he had sealed King Piccolo to begin training. He also at some point wishes himself to be young again, and continues training until he thinks he is strong enough to where Shenron's power could affect another timeline. Kami then makes a wish to repair Trunks' timeline. This revives everyone who was killed by the androids except Goku, because remember, he died from the heart virus, and the Dragon Balls cannot revive anyone who died by natural causes. This means Gohan and the other Z fighters come back to life, but I feel like most neglect to train. Maybe everyone but Vegeta. This means that when Goku Black comes, he still does a lot of damage, and Trunks still has to come to the present to get help. Goku is extremely happy to see his old teacher after 30 years or so, and is more than happy to go and face Goku Black with him. After they get whooped in return, the plan to seal Goku Black with the Mafuba is put into action, and I feel like Raditz would be the one to learn it, as again, he's smarter and wouldn't be so dumb as to leave the sealing container. So the next time they came against Black, he would get sealed, and when Zamasu appeared, he gets sealed as well. Goku then asks Trunks to start training again because they're going to need his help. There is a tournament coming up in which their universe could be destroyed if they don't win. And speaking of, the Tournament of Power arc has a much different team for Universe 7 this time. This time we have Goku, Vegeta, Raditz, Nappa, a young Kami, Tien, Krillin, Master Roshi, and finally, future Trunks and Goten. My reasons for this are, if you have 4 Super Saiyan Blue, you use them. Also, Kami knows the Mafuba and is stronger than Master Roshi, so he could be just as much of an MVP as him. Tien and Krillin are there. Goten isn't the most mature, but he has the most potential out of anyone. He also isn't the same as his original timeline counterpart. Fighting is way more important to him, and fusion isn't a gimmick here. Gotenks is not a resort to them. Plus, there's no real danger of him dying in the tournament, and if he doesn't fight and they lose, everyone dies anyway. So there's no reason for him not to fight. Finally, future Trunks has made such an impression on Goku that he just has to be one of his first picks. I don't see why they wouldn't allow it, as Trunks is from another timeline, but the timeline still takes place in Universe 7. Plus, Omni King kinda made rules up on the fly. Now guys, this what if has been very long, so let's move it on. Major fights for the characters in the Tournament of Power still happen in this timeline, pretty much as is. There's only just more Saiyans and a young Kami. There aren't a huge amount of changes here. We still get perfect Ultra Instinct, yada yada yada. I'm very tired. So yes, Universe 7 does still win, and there is still a wish to restore the rest of the universes. Woo! That was a hard one, you guys, but I really enjoyed it. Quick shout out to people that I talked this one out with. Lytro Storm and Yami Riff, you guys helped me a lot. Thanks so much. Prince Barry, I hope you enjoyed the video, man. From now on, if I have a video that is a suggestion from a subscriber, I'm going to contact you, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you do something in the video that's very special to me. So, as always, go beyond plus ultra. We'll see you guys next time.